Hey guys, I want to make this video here. This is going to be talking a little bit about how to clean up and kind of fix up an old Zippo. This is my new Zippo score. I kind of mentioned this in one of my other videos. One of my good friends online who I talk to all the time, he's really into Zippos, and he pointed this out to me. And he said, because it's kind of Pennsylvania related, that I might like it. And it's an old Zippo Slim, and you can tell from the markings on the bottom here, you have that old script, but it so happens that this one is dated on the front. I don't know if you can see that. It says March 5th, 1964, right there, underneath this logo. Now this logo is a keystone with the letter P in it, standing for Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania used the keystone on all of our state signs for highways and such. The keystone is actually if you have an archway, or an opening, a rounded opening, the keystone is the stone at the very top. All the stones, as they start angling in, they put pressure on the keystone, and structurally it's the most important piece. And as you put weight on top, like if you see bridges and stuff like that, or high, railways and stuff, a lot of times you'll have an archway, because how the arch is created, when you put pressure on top of it, they all push against each other, which actually creates more of more strength structurally. So the keystone is a very cool little thing, and that's what we happen to use for Pennsylvania, like I said, for our highways and stuff like that. This happens to have a P in the middle. The person who I got this from on eBay, they had a bunch of railroad memorabilia. So, I'm thinking this came out having to do with something on a railroad, I guess in Pennsylvania. Now, I looked it up. The Pennsylvania Railroad sign is pretty much the same symbol, although there's two R's, one on each side for railroad, in the P. So, just the keystone with a P in the middle. I'm not sure what that really stands for. Pennsylvania does have PA in there, our initials for the state. But anyway, a little history on the Zippo. So it's a little Zippo Slim from 1964. I thought it was kind of cool. Again, kind of getting back into collecting Zippos, and I might just go straight with just collecting vintage Slims like this. Something new. But anyway, this whole video is not so much on the history. I just want to mention it because it's the first time I'm showing it. But it's really about cleaning an old Zippo. Cleaning it up, fixing it. This is how it arrived just today, just like this. You can see a lot of, it's dirty, scratched up. You can't do too much about the scratches, but there's all this gummy bit on top here, obviously some kind of sticker residue. All the bronze you see here are gold color. It's actually the brass underneath, where it was engraved. That was filled in with paint, and it's very, very hard to see. Actually, again, we'll have to grab my jeweler's loop. I should keep this thing right by the camera. I'm always using it. But anyway, let me bring in real close and show you this. You can see on the lettering, see how that was engraved? The case itself is brass. When you have these chrome ones, they're usually chrome plated. The actual Zippo themselves is made out of brass. But anyway, it's engraved through, and on the bottom you can see some of that red. That's actually all the paint that's left. Originally, this was painted. Okay. And when these were engraved like this in, the older ones, the vintage ones, they were hand painted. There was someone at Zippo who actually all day painted in all the engravings on a lot of different models. So pretty interesting. However, most of the paint is worn away. I would say at least 90%. The only paint that's left, as you can see, is just in those numbers. So anyway, so yeah, the outside's all screwed up and old and gunked up. We'll fix that. The inside, you can see this cam spring underneath isn't working properly. This is the cam. Now that should go all the way down when you open the Zippo. It's not going all the way down, which leads me to believe there's something wrong with the cam spring. The cam spring, it runs underneath, and that's what puts pressure on this piece here, okay, the cam. And the purpose of the cam is to, when the Zippo's open, not to let it close, and when the Zippo's closed, not to let it flop open. Okay, it literally just cams. That's what it's there for. I'm thinking that maybe I can fix that by scrubbing out all this crap. It might just be so gunked up with dust and dirt that it's not allowing it to go down. After I clean it, if it still doesn't work, then that means the cam spring itself has to be replaced, and this might go back to Zippo. I'm not going to be using this later, so I don't necessarily need to fix it. It doesn't have to be super functional. But anyway, also the wick, come in close and show you this. The wick is pretty much burnt out, not looking too good. Just going to clean this up. You can see that there's a little gold underneath the wheel. However, I think that's the follower, or the piece that goes behind the flint itself. There's no sparks created, which again leads me to believe that this was not used. And after a couple years, the flints actually deteriorate and they turn to dust or powder. So if you get an old Zippo and you open it up, okay, and it's just all powdery and dusty and it doesn't spark, that's because your flint literally just fell apart and turned to dust over the years. I think it takes somewhere between 5 and 10 years of, just sitting in a Zippo like this, to actually turn to dust. Now as I open this, you may not be able to see this, but there's a lot of dust coming off there. And again, that's the same deal. It's just the flint. I don't know if you saw that right there, but when I push in on this, you see all the dust. So yeah, I'm actually going to replace, I'm going to put a flint in here because most likely, this is actually the first time I'm opening this. Let's take a peek and see if I'm right or not. Or maybe there's a flint in there. Yeah, see the top of that's scraped. That's just the follower. That's not the actual flint. That's what keeps pressure so the flint's not pushing against the spring. Now if I tap this, I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me come in real close again. Love coming in close. You can see all the dust that's on my hand. And that's literally what the flint used to be. It just turned to dust. So there is no flint. I'll be replacing the flint after I clean this all up. And I'll pull the wick up, get some fresh wick going on, and see if I can get that cam to work properly. So anyway, some tools I'm going to be using today. First thing is this is a generic bottle, but it has it's a squirt bottle. It has alcohol in here, just regular rubbing alcohol. I don't have too much left, but this will be good for generally cleaning. It'll help break down that gummy crap from the old sticker that was on there, whatever was on there. It left that gunky mess. Of course, you can use a whole bunch of different stuff for this. There's a really good product called Gooby Gone. Gooby Gone is specifically made for stuff like that, sticker residue, all kinds of gunky stuff. But I just use rubbing alcohol because it's cheap and easy, and I usually have some on hand. I'm using a toothbrush here. This is actually, it's a travel toothbrush. You take with you when you go on vacation and stuff. Gives you a nice little handle here. But I actually use this. You can see it's all dirty. I use this for my gun cleaning. It's a great brush using the plastic bristles, especially for the Glock. When I'm cleaning the plastic parts of the Glock, I don't want to use metal brushes because that'll obviously, scrape up and scratch up the plastic or polymer or what have you. So anyway, but these cheap old dollar store toothbrushes are great to just get in there and scrub stuff up. Specifically this, I'm going to be using this to clean all the inside the insert, maybe a little bit on the outside. So that's what I have that for. Then when all the cleaning's done, I have some Flitz metal polish. I'll just get a little piece. This is an old piece of t-shirt. Same thing I'm using as my kind of tablecloth here to keep all this crap from going on the table. I'll be using that just to polish up everything and try to get a nice look to it. So the last thing, I have my Leatherman P4 squirt here. That's just so I can use the pliers to pull that wick up. So let's get into it. Let's start cleaning this up. Alright, first thing we do is put the case aside. I'll leave the spring and all that off to the side as well. And I'll get in here with my toothbrush and just start scrubbing. Now the actual body here, I'm just doing a quick once over. You don't necessarily have to really scrub this, not a big deal, but you want to scrub all in here where the working parts are. Now, coming close, let's take a peek at this this insert. You can see this insert has the words on the inside here. Again, for best results, please use Zippo flints and fluid. Blah blah blah. You can actually use these markings on the inside to date your inserts. For the vintage lighters, there's a couple good websites. If you do a Google search, you can probably find them. But you can actually date the inserts. Some inserts didn't have actual markings like you do have on the bottom of your Zippo. But again, by how they're laid out, what kind of prints on them, stuff like that, you can figure out when they were made. So anyway, back to cleaning. Again, just giving this a good scrub. No real specific way to do this, just, scrub it out, clean it up pretty good. Yeah, my goal here, hopefully, is to get enough crud out that I can get this cam to function properly. And actually, so far, it's sticking a little bit. I'm going to have to oil this a little bit as well. It's metal on metal here, so just like your pivot on your knife, you want to put a little oil in there. Actually, you know what? If you can hold on just a second here. Let me go grab some. Wait just a minute. Sorry about that, guys. Didn't mean to leave you hanging there, but I didn't want to have to cut the film. Just grab some oil here. Tough Glide. It's what I use for most of my knives. You can see I'm running out here. But anyway, let me clean this up a little bit more, and then I'll actually oil that part. Because again, this is pivoting around a pin, like I said, just as a knife blade would in a folding knife. So I'm going to make sure that 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 has less friction by oiling it. So make sure you get all the crud out before I put some oil in there. Alright, so again, Tough Glide, little needle applicator, which helps quite a bit. Just give it a drop on each side and just kind of work it in. Trying to get a feel for that cam spring. It's hard to see in there. Where'd my, oh, here it is. Alright, I'm just going to do a quick little function test here, see if this cam's working better. Which actually, it's definitely better. It's not going all the way down, but it is serving its purpose. And there's a much better click. I don't know if you can hear that. Much better satisfying click shutting, and more secure than it was when it was all dirty and gunked up. So I like that. Good improvement already. Now you don't have to, but if you want to, you can drop a little oil in that the pivot for the wheel as well. Just don't go crazy. You know, just a tiny little bit, just to help that spin. All right. A little bit on the body here. If you saw all that dust when this pad, this pad is so dusty. Again, that's all that old flint. Let me take that out just for a second here. Just taking a peek inside. Wow. I know you guys can see that. I don't have to get close with that. That's the rest of that flint. It looks like the flint was pretty large. I'm just using this spring here to push down this padding. Yeah, it looks like maybe it was a full-size flint in there, and again, over time, it just totally deteriorated. You can see that it's just dust. So let's clean that out. Again, just push that padding back in, and put our felt pad back in the bottom here. Okay, so cleaned up as best I can right now for the purpose of this video. Oiled up. Let's pull that wick up. Get a fresh piece of wick. And like I figured, it's so brittle and old, it just snapped on me. Kind of hard doing this behind the camera as well. Let me try to get a little bit of wick here. Yeah, it's snapping on me. Actually, I got to get close here, to the camera. So I'll have to cut film here just for a second, just to pull that wick up, so I can get in there and get a close look at it. It's hard looking through the viewfinder of my camera as I do stuff to make sure it's in film. So anyway, I'll be back with you in just a second. Alright guys, what I did there was I had to remove all the stuffing, take the wick out, so I can trim it how I wanted it, and reinsert it back through the hole, and then I put the stuffing back. So right now we have a functioning wick. It should be replaced. It's deteriorating a little bit. It's older. If you buy a new wick today, it's a lot better quality in general. But this is not a user Zippo for me. It's just for my collection. So check that wheel. Make sure. There's no flint or flint spring or anything in there. So make sure that spins freely. The wick is good right now. The cam is getting better. Definitely better. Again, just kind of working it back and forth a little bit. I can even add a tiny little bit more oil to it. Just a little on both sides. And like I said, just work that back and forth. Make sure that make sure it's the not just the dirt in there that's clogging that, but it is the cam spring underneath that's broken. If that's the case, of course, you can just send it back to Zippo. And to be honest, they don't spend the time trying to fix a cam spring. It's just so much easier for them to give you a brand new insert. There's no time in trying to fix it. So generally, that's what they'll do, is they'll replace it as opposed to fixing things, which, hey, I'm not complaining about. So there we go. All we need now is a new flint. So I have a Zippo flint. These came with, actually last time I got one of my Zippos repaired, they sent me two little complimentary flints. So what I'm going to do is, I only need one here, so I put one back for next time. Okay, so now I got my brand new flint, and let's pop that down into the flint tube, just like you're replacing a flint. And you put this whole little piece back together. Screw that down. Then we'll do a little function test, make sure everything's working properly. This is not filled right now with fluid, so all I'm looking for is a spark, which obviously I have here. Now to get your flint started, because right now the top of the flint is flat. Let me try to show you with it in there. The top of the flint is flat, as it is new. Now what's going to happen is, as you use this, it's going to actually create a curved top, so it more fluently sparks. It's not going to be a lot of pressure. It's going to be easy to spark. So what I suggest you do is actually push forward and roll the wheel. Okay, you can do this, I don't know, a dozen times or so. Just kind of gently. You're not trying to go too fast. Just nice, easy roll. What you're doing is you're digging out that curve so that when you go back and spark it towards you, it's easier. Just kind of breaking in the flint. You don't have to do this at all. You can just start using the Zippo, and eventually, it'll break in. But as it is right now, it's perfect. It's throwing a lot of sparks. If I were to fill this, it would, light up on the first try. So there's my insert, cleaned up, functional. Let's put that aside now and work on the case. Right now I'm just trying to clean the case. Now while you're cleaning it, you want to put the insert back in, because if you're moving around, and especially these older ones, the hinges tend to be loose from use. As you can see here, there's a lot of slop in it. It's still functional, it's not broken, but it is, sloppy. But again, just so you don't put too much pressure on that lid trying to clean it and you snap it off. So put your insert back in, okay, and close your Zippo. You'll have the most stability now. So now I'm going to go back and just kind of scrub this down a little bit. Just get any surface dirt off, especially back in your hinge. I'm actually going to go back and polish this as well in just a minute here. Again, just kind of getting any surface crap off. Now you don't have to do this, but sometimes I'll throw a little drop of oil in the hinge. Again, it's metal on metal parts, so can't hurt anything. It'll make it more fluent to open and close. Alright, so now I want to get that crap off, that gooky, sticky mess. So that's where my alcohol is going to come in play. So what I'm going to do is put a little alcohol on here. Just give it a couple drops. And I'm going to let that sit just for a second, just kind of eating away at that mess. Now I have just a spare little piece of t-shirt ripped off. You can use a rag or any kind of material. And after this sits for a couple more minutes, normally I will let it soak a little bit, but obviously for the video I'm just going to get in there and start scrubbing. And that's all you have to do, is just kind of wipe it down. And a little bit of elbow grease. Goes a long way here. Now right off the bat you can see a lot of it came off, but there's still a little bit of stubborn mess there. So just keep working on it, scrubbing it back and forth. You can put a little bit more alcohol or whatever you happen to have. And whatever I don't get out, with the alcohol, kind of wipe the whole thing down. That Flitz metal polish will do its job as well. So pretty good, as you can see there. So now let's skip right to. Ooh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to put in my felt pad on top of my padding here. And I really need to take this flint screw back out to do that without ripping it up too bad. So let's try to do that real quick. Okay, remember, don't tilt it. You want to leave your flint in there. Make sure that doesn't fall out. Use this little needle to kind of get that in. It's a pain in the butt because you have to put this felt pad around your flint tube, and sometimes it's stubborn. Actually, I'm going to need this There we go. Okay, now you put your little assembly back in and screw it down. Okay, back in business. Function test again. Yep, everything's working good. Okay, so now we're going to quickly polish this case. You don't need a whole lot of polish here. It's obviously a very small surface area on a lighter. I mean, this happens to be a Zippo Slim, so it's even smaller. But just kind of bunch up your rag so you have a little, hard or firm surface here. That's even a little bit too much, so kind of use this to kind of spread it in. All right, and then you just, any brand polish is fine. Any metal polish, you can find these at auto parts stores, and just kind of work it in there. Go clockwise, you can go back and forth. Doesn't really matter. Basically, you just want a lot of elbow grease. And all metal polish is a very fine abrasive. Imagine really, really fine sandpaper, but in liquid form. That's all it is. And as you push back and forth, you're literally sanding down. You're just sanding down so lightly that it's smoothing out the surface as opposed to taking off metal. So again, just rubbing on the front. Now, be aware that if you do have an engraved front, you're going to get a little bit of polish in there. Not a big deal. You can always just wipe it out. So I want to hold this firmly again so that you don't put too much pressure on the lid there. I'm also squeezing this way, as well. I'm squeezing this way really hard so that if I lose my grip and I'm pushing down on this, again, I don't want this opening up and snapping off. So just be aware of that. So there it is. There's my new 1964 Pennsylvania Zippo Slim. Polished enough to show my camera. So anyway, it is functional. If I do fill it, it would work. But that cam spring underneath is not. It lost a little bit of its power, I guess, over the years. It should push that cam all the way down, but for some reason it's not. But it's still functional. You can see it is opening up and it is closing. So, cool. Anyway, sorry if you're not into Zippos and this was boring for you, but if you are into Zippos, I'm sure you enjoyed it. And there's a lot of people who like collecting the vintage stuff, and hey, if you want to use it or clean it up, I'm sure this video helped a little bit. So there it is. I'm just going to keep keep rubbing this down with some polish on the back and sides, and that's pretty much it. So you can, I don't remember exactly what I paid for this. It was definitely less than $20. I believe it was $15. That was with shipping. It was like $12 and maybe $3 or $4 shipping costs. So cool little find. It doesn't cost all that much, and it's a nice little piece for my collection. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I always appreciate it. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.